Hi, I'm Pete Lockett. Welcome to my first lesson on iDrum magazine. We're going to be looking at some Indian rhythmic ideas for a few of these lessons. The Indian rhythmic system, both in North and South India, is a very rich mixture of rhythmic influences, rhythmic ideas. There's a massive amount of material waiting to be discovered by a lot of Western drummers. If we look at drummers such as Steve Smith, Russ Miller, Benny Greb, they're all getting more and more interested in some of these rhythmic ideas that you find in India. Now, there are two styles of classical drumming in India. In North India, we have Hindustani classical drumming, and in South India, we have Carnatic classical drumming. I'm lucky enough to have studied a little bit of both of these styles. These drums, for example, are the North Indian tabla. Now, one of the important things with the South Indian system is the building blocks that we can have and use for developing rhythmic ideas. And a very good way to introduce yourself to some of these Indian rhythms is to look at some of these basic building blocks and work out different ways that we can articulate them and develop them and use them on drum set and other percussion, even for composition such as piano or any type of composition. So we have 5 main building blocks in the South Indian rhythmic system, 3, 4, 5, 7 and 9. Now these building blocks are represented by phonetics, syllables. On the drums, phonetics and syllables are very interlinked with the technique of Indian drumming. If we look at the tabla, for example, from the north of India, and look at some of the strokes, on the rim, the high sound on the rim is called na. The open bass sound is called ge. The closed sound on the bass tabla is called ke. We have an open sound called tun, closed sound called te, and then compound syllables. So, for example, if I was to play ge and na at the same time, we have a syllable called da. So this whole system is very involved and a very interesting system to study in its own right. But we're going to look at some of the building blocks that we can have, 3, 4, 5, 7 and 9. They each have a set of syllables which one can sort of recite to become used to these building blocks. So if we look at the building block of 3, we can have the syllables ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta. For 4, we have ta, ka, di, mi, ta, ka, di, mi. For 5, we can have ta, ti, ki, ta, tum, ta, ti, ki, ta, tum, and so on. With the 7-beat unit, we're going to look at it divided into 3 and 4. So we have 2 of the units, the 3-beat unit and the 4-beat unit, put together to make up the whole 7-beat unit. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. And similarly with the 9-beat unit, we have 4 plus 5. Ta, ka, di, mi, ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. 4 and 5. Ta, ka, di, mi, ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ka, di, mi, ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. So there's lots of ways these units can be used. If we just take the 3-beat unit, obviously it could just be a basic triplet. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta. Or for example, it could be 8th notes. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta. Or 16th notes. Ta, ki, ta, 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 ta, ki, ta. Or triplets. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta. Or different lengthed gaps. So for example, if we make it 3 16th notes long, ta, ki, ta, 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 and so on. For example, 5 16th notes long. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, and so on. One very important system when we're learning different rhythmic ideas is the concept of playing something at 1.5 times the speed, which is basically, you know, an eighth note triplet or a quarter note triplet, depending on, you know, which level you've come up and down from. It gets very elaborate in Indian percussion. So if we look at a small composition on the tabla, this is part of a composition called a kaida. Kaida is a kind of theme and variation composition that you find on the North Indian tabla. So the whole composition is played in single speed, 1.5 times the speed, and then double time speed. So it would sound something like this. The theme, the basic theme is this. Da gena da ti da da terikita da terikita taka terikita da ti da gen da ti da gena da ga tuna gena da. So this theme will be taken single speed, 1.5 times speed, and then double speed. Da gena da ti da da terikita taka terikita da ti da gen da ti da gena da ga tuna gen da gena da ti da da terikita taka terikita da ti da gena da ti da gen da ga tuna gena da gena da ti da da terikita taka terikita da ti da gena da ti da gen da ga tuna gena da gena da ti da da terikita taka terikita da ti da gen da ti da gena da ga tuna gena da gena da ti da da terikita da ti da gena da ti da gena da ga tuna gena da. So on the tabla that would sound like this. We're now going to look at some of these unit manipulations on the drum set. We're going to look at taking some rhythmic units and putting them through the modulation into 1.5 times the speed. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a 5-beat unit, which we touched upon earlier, which is ta, ti, ki, da, tum. So now we're going to look at some of these units in 1.5 times the speed. Obviously it's a lot simpler to start with the basic units and put them through that modulation process. So we've got a basic quarter note pulse, and I'm going to speak the units over the top. First of all, the 3. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta. So this is the basic 3 against 2 feeling. So really you've only got 2 voices here. You've got the 3 and the 2. But if over the level of the 3, the triplets, we start to put the other units, then we can get some a third voice in a sense. So let's put the 4 over the triplets against the quarter note. So there's our quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's our triplet. But we're going to have 4. Ta, ka, di, mi. 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 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now the same with 5. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta. And then with 7. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka, di, mi. Ta. And then with the 9-beat unit, 4 plus 5. Ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ka, di, mi. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta. Now you've got to remember that with all of these units, even though it's a kind of removed rhythm over the top of it, still ta, ki ta, ta ki ta. You have to have that 3 against 2 feel, which really locks it down. Each removed rhythm is really an embellishment, if you like, or sort of slight modulation away from the basic 3 against 2 groove. Now, when we've got to this point, we can start to just try some different voices. So, for example, I've just put some sounds on the electronic 2-box drum kit here. I've put a tambourine here, the hi-hat, and it's a crasher, actually, a Zildjian crasher. So this is where we've got the quarter note. Let's just look at ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta. When you get comfortable with each level, you can then begin to split the phrase over the top of the quarter notes onto 2 different sounds. So, for example, ta, ki, ta will become. And then the same with takadimi. And then the same with the 5-beat unit. And so on. We can go through the different units and begin to voice it like that, so we get comfortable with the actual 3 voices in the one rhythmic motif. Now, in North and South India, there's a whole system of clapping and waves that are used in performance that people play against. There's so much rhythmic work in the genres that it's very important for the performers to know exactly where they are in the time cycle and in the bars and what's happening, and also for the audience to be able to appreciate some of the rhythm work. I'm not going to go into the detail of why the claps and waves are there, but suffice to say that it's representing stressed and unstressed portions of the time cycles. In the tabla, in the north of India, these unstressed sections tend to have no open bass tabla sound in. So it kind of becomes like a landmark in a sense. It doesn't exactly mean that in the south, but still we do have stressed and unstressed sections. So let's look at a 5-beat clapping cycle using claps and waves. Now, the wave sometimes can be in the air like this. Sometimes it can be the back of the hand on the palm. So we're going to have a 5-beat clapping cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now against that, we're going to have our 5-beat unit. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum, ta. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep that clapping cycle exactly the same, and we're going to modulate the tati kita tum. We're going to start off at that level, then we're going to go to half the speed for the syllables. The clapping stays the same, then back up, then we're going to go to quarter note triplets, eighth note triplets, and 16th notes. And it will sound like this. Ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. 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 Ta, ti, ki, ta, ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. 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 Ta, ti, ki, ta, ta, ti, ki, ta, tum. 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 So from this point, we can begin to extrapolate that on the drum set. So for example, let's just take a basic sticking to represent the syllables. Right, left, left. And for the clapping pattern, we're going to have a pattern for the feet, which will be so I'm going to set something up here, and I'm going to it's 5/4 because we're in 5. I'm going to set the metronome at 126, and let's try that with the hands on the snare drum and the feet playing the ostinato, which was the clapping pattern. So now we can begin to extrapolate the sticking pattern on the toms. So for example, instead of just being on the snare drum, we're going to have again the same pattern on the feet. Of course, we can then go on to the other units and use different stickings. For example, the 7-beat sticking, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, 3 plus 4. You can again take that through the whole modulation process and begin to develop a different sense of shifting gears through various time cycle rhythm changes.